All right, ladies and gentlemen, the moment we've been waiting for. We're at Hickory. They stack up with Richie Joplin and Michael Whiting on the front row. Jess Chambers, Don Warren have the second row. Stephen Lindner, Mark Nelson on the third. Terry James, John Berry have the fourth row. Derek Schilling and Gil Guak round out the top 10. DJ Kenner and Ryan Warp 11th and 12th. Gerald Poole, Kevin Bruner 13th and 14th. Mark Dantuma, Tim St. Jean 15th and 16th. Ryan Seneker, Mike Burgess, Jack Wilson, and John Wyatt round out the 20-car field at Hickory. And Nathan Voss in the stands tonight. How you been, buddy? All right, drivers rolling out for their warm-up laps. And they've got their hands full here tonight. Remember, they do not have fast repairs in the in-home motorsports, so these guys have got to keep the car in one piece. And we call them the cleanest league on iRacing, but when you put 20 cars on a third of a mile track, it's really hard not to run into, bump into anybody and everybody around you. All right, here we come through 3 and 4. Pace car dives in and the green flag flies. They are underway in Hickory. Everybody coming through 1 and 2. So far, no problems down the back straightaway into turn 3. Remember, these drivers do have open setups for the winter season, so everybody's setup is adjusted to their driving style. That is going to help several of these drivers. Our current leader, Richie Joplin, also leading the points with 4 wins out of 5 races. Everybody is gunning for Richie. Derek Schilling is on the move already up into 8th. He is not rewinding the blockbuster car tonight. John Berry back in 10th. One of the fastest in practice, not the best qualifying effort. We'll have to keep an eye on him. I bet as those tires get heated up, he's coming forward. And of course, the Iceman DJ Kenner currently runs in 9th. John Wyatt, one of the rookies this season, back in 20th. Oh, Ryan Warp was a little squirrely out of 2, holds on to it. Ryan was one of the drivers we expected to be battling every race this season, but man, he has not had the luck. It hasn't been on Ryan's side. Coming in tonight, Richie Joplin does lead the points over Kevin Bruner by quite a bit. Jess Chambers in 3rd. Gerald Thanos Poole now to 4th in points after a big jump in the last race at the fairgrounds. Don Warren currently holds 5th in points. Mark Dantuma had a rough night at the fairgrounds and dropped from 2nd to 8th. However, as always, Mark Dantuma did not qualify. Already up 2 spots into 13th. We'll keep an eye on him as well. We mentioned it during pre-race. It's not going to take long for the leader to be in lap traffic. We're going to keep a close eye on Richie. Hey, good evening, Quack. And the first caution of the night is out. And it looks like Ryan Warp was the car involved. Let's see if we can see What happened? Ryan in the white 23 on the outside. We saw it bobble. Oh, he had a bobble in the middle of 1 and 2 checked up. Mark D'Antuma had nowhere to go. All right, looking down from the chopper. There's the cut down by the 23. Had to check up after this little bobble. D'Antuma, nothing he could do. D'Antuma did make a quick trip to pit road to get some repairs. He is back out. Remember, no fast repairs, so his team just had to bang the dents out a bit. But it does appear it's going to put him a lap down. Even pace laps here are quick. All right, Richie in control. Michael Whiting on the outside. Pace car is in. Green flag back in the air. Richie has the advantage going into turn 1. Michael Whiting now has Jess Chambers looking underneath. Mark Nelson and Don Warren battle back behind for 4th and 5th. And the outside wall coming out of turn 4. Mark D'Antuma is back on pit road. Something has got to be catastrophically wrong with that car for him to come back in. Does appear he's getting tires as well. Terry James now up into 6th, battling with Steven Lindner at 7th. Eric Schilling at 8th. DJ Kenner, John Berry battling. Whoa, John, hold on. He went way high, gets loose. Gerald now peeks under. Gerald had to check up. Almost got a bump from Gil. Great save by Gil Glock. Already getting spicy. Gerald has had a problem back behind. No caution yet. Now Jack Wilson has had a problem. Still no caution. Let's see what's happening. Now the caution flies. All right, let's see what happened with Gerald. Coming out of turn 2, he just lost the back end. Slides in, but does not get the wall. And a moment later, Jack Wilson toward the back of the field. The car below just comes up, gets into his left rear, and sends him around. And it seems like a good time, folks, on the restart. You're absolutely right, Nate, that cautions do breed cautions. But cautions also breed moments where we can crank it up. So when the green flag drops here in a moment, I'm going to shut up and let you guys crank it up. Listen to what 20 late models on a 1/3 of a mile track sounds like. Here's a hint. They are loud. Hey, good evening, Russell. All right, lights are out on the pace car. When the green drops, y'all get that volume knob and turn it up to 11. All right, here they come through 3 and 4. Pace car dives in. Green flag flies. Crank it up, y'all. Nathan goes to 13th. Don't forget to check us out on Facebook, Twitter, Twitch, Instagram, and YouTube. We do have an entire Crank It Up playlist on YouTube, and it's growing every week. Derek Schilling now up into 6th, looking under Mark Nelson for 5th. DJ Kenner right behind him in 7th. Whoa! Schilling a little loose, coming out of turn 4 on the bottom, way loose into 1. That was a close call coming out of 2 as well. Nobody giving an inch here in the early going. John Barry was one of the fastest in practice, as we mentioned. Back in 11th, he's lost some ground. Trying to fight his way back toward the front. Meanwhile, Jess Chambers holds on to 2nd. And Richie Joplin has opened up almost a 1-second lead. Couple of battles going on back behind Tim St. Jean. Lurking right behind Ryan Boardman, Kevin Bruner. Bruner on the high, so Ryan gets a big run down to the bottom. Almost got to the inside on Seneca. Looked like Ryan got too big of a run, had to back out of it. Bruner back to the high side. Oh, Barry's in the inside wall. The caution is out. Ouch. All right, let's see what happened to John Barry. Taking a look from the chopper. There's John in the yellow car. Coming out of the turn, he was loose, gets a bump from behind. Ryan Warp into Ryan Seneca. They just stack up at the exit of 4. Ouch. Blake, I really don't like it when you say that because I'm older than he is. Jack Wilson getting one of his laps back here. Not every time, Nathan. Only do it about once or twice a race, buddy. Sorry. All right, lights are out on the pace car. And once we get rolling in a lap or two, we're going to hop on board with one of the drivers. Let you see just how tight things are out here. Here comes the leader. Pace car dives in, and the green flag flies again. And wow, things got really spicy off the start. Looked like that inside line had problems. Caution! Mike Burgess, Gil Guac involved. It looked like there may have been a stack up on the restart. Let's see what happened. Looking down from the chopper. Oh, it looks like one car ahead just checked up. Burgess had to stomp on the brakes and went around in 1 and 2. Blakey Pooh, you are right. Richie Joplin is in the thousands by now. Nathan, you're probably right. Folks, don't forget to tune in right after the race. The Unicorn is Euro trucking tonight, so all the chaos is going to be there. And as always, we have 10 to 12 YouTube shorts coming out every single day, including race shorts, trucking shorts, and very, very soon, the Unicorns Mafia shorts will be coming out, and more Mafia streams coming soon. From her, she is learning to use a controller. All right, here we go. Single file on the restart. Pace car dives in. And the green flag flies again. Now looking through the field, Jess Chambers in second, Dalton Warren in third, Michael Whiting in fourth, Mark Nelson in fifth. But at the moment, John Wyatt, the biggest mover, up 7 spots into 13th. One of the rookies, I believe Nashville was his first race. As Michael Whiting and Mark Nelson now battle it out for fourth. This is one of those tracks, if you can get your car to run the high side like Michael Whiting is doing, and you can make up a lot of ground. Hey, good evening, Brian. Whoa, Tim St. Jean looks a little squirrely. Tim up 5 spots now into 11. And a little bobble back behind. Derek Schilling coming out of turn 2 in the Blockbuster car. One of the drivers did have to ask Derek tonight how to rewind a DVD. Brian, early chaos put Dan Tuma out early. This time, Jess Chambers is hanging with the leader. Oh, the Iceman looking loose through 1 and 2 as he battles with Steven Linder. Gil Blanc, Tim St. Jean battling. Wow, Tim almost got a little bit of walk there. Kevin Bruner reeling him in. And Bruner in a great position to ride along as he comes down the front straightaway into turn 1. Onto the brakes, mid-turn, back onto the power. Mike Burgess, John Berry have had a problem. The caution is out. We'll get another ride along after this. Let's see what happened. Looking down at Mike Burgess, John Berry. Oh, Burgess slides up the track, causes a stack up. John Berry ends up in the outside wall. There's John down on the bottom in the yellow car, trying to move back toward the front. But there's the spin ahead, and John has been fast all night, but no luck. Ryan Seneca getting another wave around on this. Looks like Mark Nelson, Michael Whiting, Terry James, John Wyatt all came in. John Wyatt still sits on pit road, as does Mike Burgess. And here we go, lights are out. The pace car dives in, and the green flag flies again. And whoa, we've got a stack up in a car around. Ryan Warp and Ryan Seneca involved. And the caution is back out. Looks like John Wyatt also had a problem. All right, looking at Ryan Seneca here. Ryan was starting to make up some ground. Oh, there was the big checkup. Ryan Warp had to get on the brakes. There was a big checkup as they went 3 wide through turn 1. Ryan Warp goes around. And it looks like John Wyatt was just coming off pit road. Actually, may have picked up a black flag in the process. And wow, he had some problems getting that thing rolling again. Nathan, we did have a bumpy start tonight. We've seen that a couple of times this season. But the guys have pulled it together for long green flag runs as drivers come back out. John Barry comes out, but he is showing a black flag, as is Ryan Warp sitting on pit road. Single file on the restart. Pace car dives back in. Green flag flies again. Richie in control out front. On the move, Tim St. Jean has avoided a lot of chaos. Already up 12 spots into 4th. That has been the story of Tim's season. If he qualifies good. But has bad luck early on. If he doesn't qualify, he starts in the back and marches his way into the top 5. Figures out how to qualify and have good luck, he'll be unstoppable. And it appears John Wyatt is officially out of the race and unhappy. DJ Kenner now up to 5th. According to Blanky Poot, the Iceman is having shifter issues. Not slowing him down at the moment, though. Honestly, you could give the Iceman half the car, he'd still be competitive. John Barry still on pit road. Ryan Warp also still on pit road, losing ground. now up 7 spots into second. Steven Lindner in third. Tim St. Jean battling back by for fourth. DJ fights back on the bottom. It is bringing Gerald Poole closer. Mark Nelson also pulling back up into the fight. Whoa! Mark was way out of shape coming out of turn 2. And that has brought Gil Guak even closer. Hey, good evening, Bandit. Nope, that's just had 20 cars showed up tonight. And caution laps do count. Michael Whiting was fast in the early going. He has dropped back to 12th. Kevin Bruner currently sitting in 13th. Ryan Seneker in 14th. Jack Wilson back on track in 15th. Mike Burgess in 16th. John Berry officially out of the race. One of the fastest cars in practice, but zero luck here tonight. And we haven't talked about the turn 1 wall yet. But since this track came out a couple of years ago, every race we have broadcast here, somebody has ended up in that tire wall there at the gap in turn 1. We've yet to see it tonight, but it's a long way from over. Yes, they do have an incident limit. I don't remember the number, and no fast repairs. Derek Schilling still sitting in second, but Steven Lindner has made his way to third, right on the bumper. The Iceman at fourth, still battling Mark Nelson. Now Tim St. Jean in the fight. Walk still lurking. Jeff Chambers has slipped back into 8th. Gerald Poole currently in 9th. Terry James in 10th with Don Warren looking underneath. Whoa! Chambers is around on the front stretch. The caution is out. Gil Guak has towed it in as well. Let's see what happened. Alright, there is Jess. He comes off into 3 and 4. Oh, DJ and Tim get together. Wow, everybody goes bumping. Quick look down from the chopper. We had seen this battle heating up. Looks like Tim just pushed up a little bit through 3 and 4. Gets into DJ. DJ goes around, collects Gil and Jess, and what a stack up. And a lot of the field back behind did duck in. Looks like some taking right side tires. Some just getting some dents banged back out. All right, lights are out on the pace car. Everybody stacks up side by side. Richie Joplin in control. Pace car dives in. Whoa! Whoa, 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 whoa! And it looks like the green flag got delayed. And some problems on the front stretch. Steven Linder got caught up. And it looks like he has gotten a meatball. He has towed it in. And now the green flag is going to fly. That was a bit of an oddity there. Mark Nelson now in second, but he is showing a black flag at the moment. Richie Joplin is out front. Mark Nelson is in to serve his black flag. Steven Linder on pit road, as is the Iceman. Bandit, feel free to message me. I'll be happy to give you a hand, buddy. Don Warren now has second. Derek Schilling in third. Michael Whiting in fourth. Gerald Poole in fifth. Kevin Bruner, Ryan Seneker, and Mark Nelson round out the 8 cars on the lead lap. Nathan, you're not wrong. It's also worth noting, due to the restart confusion, Richie now has a 2.1 second lead as Derek Schilling goes for second. Ryan Seneker, now the biggest mover in the field, up 10 spots into 7th. Derek Schilling up 7 spots into 2nd. Don had great position on the restart, but it looks like that damage maybe slowing him down just a hair. And folks, don't forget, if you missed any of tonight's race, you'll be able to see it all on our YouTube channel in 4K later tonight. Tim St. Jean in the kerfuffle in the restart has slipped back into 9th. Trying to reel in Mark Nelson about 10 seconds ahead. Michael Whiting, who started in 2nd, lost some ground early on, got caught up in an incident. You can still see some damage to that car, but has fought his way back up into 4th, and somehow Gerald Poole has avoided most of the chaos, has gotten caught up a little bit, but still holds on to 5th. Jack Wilson is now up into 11th. Mike Burgess in 12th. Steven Linder still on pit road for repairs. Jess Chambers out of the race. The Iceman getting some repairs done. It looks like he'll walk several others out as well. Richie's lead has started to shrink. Derek Schilling is on the move. Derek now just 1 second behind the leader in closing. He has gone to fast forward blockbuster car. And Richie Joplin about to be in lap traffic. Jack Wilson goes to the high side, lets the leader by. Oh! Jack bounces off the wall, gets into Derek just a hair. And the caution is out for Jack Wilson. And this will tighten the field back up after the restart problems. Terry James also gets caught up. Let's see what happened. There's Jack as Derek comes by. Jack bounces off the wall a second time, goes around, holds his brakes. Mike Burgess gets into him. Ouch. Looked like Terry James just shot through the grass to avoid it. Terry has somehow managed to avoid almost everything tonight. Interestingly, Richie Joplin is the only driver that has not been to pit road tonight. And it does look like most of the field has taken on right side tires. Could that be a deciding factor here now that the field is tightened up? Yeah, Mike has had a rough night tonight, John. All right, everybody stacks up for the restart. And the pace car is in. The green flag flies. Remember, Richie may be the only driver on track on old tires. We're about to see if Schilling can do something with him. Whoa! Derek definitely has a better run through the turn. Got right to Richie's bumper. Gerald Poole now up 10 spots into third. Kevin Bruner up 10 spots into fourth. Ryan Seneker up to fifth. Ryan still got some damage as Mark Nelson back in the fight. Michael Whiting also back up in the fight. Tim St. Jean on his way back out. Jack Wilson, Mike Burgess, Stephen Linder, DJ Kenner all still sit on pit road getting repairs. $80 laps to go, and Richie on old tires. Derek on his bumper. This could get interesting. Bruner now to third. Mark Nelson in fourth. Still 7 cars on the lead lap. And 7 cars out of the race early. This has been a bit of a battle of attrition tonight. Mark Nelson, Kevin Bruner battle for third. Looks like Mark's going to take it. Ryan Warp now cheering on Derek Schilling. Mark Nelson in third, just over half a second behind. Kevin Bruner now back to fourth, but still closing in on the leaders. Mark Nelson just set the fastest lap of the race so far tonight. 14.46. And Mark is on the march. Mark now looking underneath Derek Schilling for second place. As we mentioned, Richie Joplin leads the points coming into tonight with 4 wins out of 5 races. But could one of these 2 cars back behind put an end to his domination? Ryan Seneker does still have some damage, but he has been getting that car fixed. Now up into 5th, still in the lead lap. Michael Whiting in 6th, Gerald Poole in 7th, all still in the fight. Don Warren in 8th, trapped a lap down. And we've got a battle for the lead. The Mark Nelson looking under Richie. Out of turn 4, drag race down the front stretch. Mark has the nose ahead on entry. And Mark Nelson will take the lead as Schilling's around caution. Let's see what happened with Derek. There's Derek coming out of turn 2 on the power back in. Just steps out, backs it into the wall, but does get it going, and it looks like that car is probably going to be okay. And look at this, everybody is in, right side's going up all the way down. Mark Nelson wins the race off pit road. Richie Joplin comes out in 2nd, Don Warren now to 3rd. That car is beat up, but he is back on the lead lap and in the fight. Michael Whiting will take 3rd, Kevin Brenner now to 4th. Derek Schilling did end up losing a lap. Tim St. Jean, though, will be back on the lead lap. Tim finally gets waved past the pace car. Mark Nelson will be in control on the restart. All right, pace car dives in, and the green flag, whoa, the green flag flies. Richie almost jumps the start. Mark Nelson able to get away, clears through 1 and 2. Michael Whiting at 3rd. The Iceman got back on track, but has had a problem. Looks like he has stopped at the exit of pit road, making sure everybody gets by. Michael Whiting in 3rd as Kevin Bruner right on his bumper in 4th. Ryan Seneker in 5th as Nelson just set a fast lap again. Remember, Mark Nelson is a former home motorsports champ. So is Richie Joplin. And we have seen these guys battle for wins and championships multiple times before, and it's heating up again. Richie Joplin reclaims the lead for the moment. Michael White and Kevin Brenner getting closer as these two battle it out. Ryan Seneker holds on to 5th, Don Warren in 6th, Gerald Poole in 7th, Tim St. Jean in 8th. Tim was not able to come in under that last caution. He got himself waved back to the lead lap, but still in those older tires. And Mark is all over Richie's bumper. These two will race each other clean and mean, but that final lap, I don't think either one of them will be afraid to use the chrome horn. Michael Whiting just waiting for his opportunity. Michael's won. You never know he's there until he's on your bumper. He'll sneak up on you when you least expect it, and he's going to bring Kevin Bruner with him tonight. Lap traffic may become an issue for the leaders. DJ Kenner currently in 13. And it does look like the Iceman will pick up some positions here in a few laps. And we could see a bit of a shakeup in the points back behind. Mark Nelson came into the night 6th in points. 5 points behind Don Warren. Actually, 5 points behind a tie between Don Warren and Gerald Poole. And with Jess Chambers, who's 3rd in points, out early, Mark Nelson could have a huge points night. If he pulls off the win tonight, he could even close the gap on the leader. Don Warren looking underneath Michael Whiting. Michael's starting to slip backwards. Harry James in the 49, not on the lead lap, but he is trying to fight his way back into the lucky dog position. Eric Schilling currently has the lucky dog position. Tim St. Jean goes to the high side to let the leaders get by. Remember, we still have a few weeks left in the winter season and a lot of racing still to come, starting again Sunday morning when GT3 NSS takes to the track at 11 a.m. Eastern. SMR X Series Sunday night, 9:30 Eastern. The Daytona Duels. They get ready for the season opener at Daytona in 2 weeks, or a week and a half. WCSTS will be back on Monday night soon, as will C12 Motorsports on Wednesday. Nelson back to Richie's bumper. Kevin Bruner now has 3rd, but 3.3 seconds back. Ryan Seneker in 4th, about 1.25 seconds behind. He is following Derek Schilling around. Derek, one of the fastest cars on track right now, trying to get back to the lead lap. DJ Kenner has just picked up 12th. Mike Burgess slips back to 13. Now the Iceman up to 11. Having just passed Jack Wilson, who's out of the race. Still right on Richie's back bumper. Just under 40 laps to go here at Hickory. These two now on equal tires since that last caution. back in third. Ryan Seneker still holds about 1.25 seconds back. Michael Whiting is starting to close back in on Ryan. Whiting was in third on the restart, but has lost some ground. Now starting to move forward again. Derek Schilling is back in 8th, still closing in on that front group. Richie and Mark still nose to tail. Kevin Bruner, Ryan Seneker, and Michael Whiting's gaps have balanced out. Don Warren in 6th, about a second behind. Gerald Poole has slipped back into 7th. Derek Schilling in 8th. Tim St. Jean in 9th, Terry James in 10th, the Iceman in 11th. Almost half the field out early. Laps to go here at Hickory. Ryan Seneker now closing the gap on Kevin Bruner. Meanwhile, Richie Joplin still out front. Have a good night, Quack. Hey, good evening, Angie Louise. All the leaders around. They recover. Let's take a look. That just tightened the field up. Mark gets a good run into 3, gives Richie a tap. Richie keeps it out of the wall, and look at the sportsmanship from Mark Nelson. Slows down, lets Richie recover. Once again, Ryan Seneker now up into 3rd. Kevin Bruner in 4th. Michael Whiting battling for 5th with Don Warren. Looking back underneath for the lead. Richie fights back, coming out of turn 2, gets a better run. Ryan Seneker in 3rd, closing in on the top 2 as they battle. This ain't over yet. 7th is closed in on Michael Whiting and Don Warren. That incident with the top two. Time the field. Oh, Mark Nelson kissed the wall. Still gets a good run through 3 and 4. Yeah, Steve, I saw that drop. My apologies. YouTube at 4K as quickly as possible after the race as Mark is looking underneath. Richie gets loose on entry. They continue to battle. Ryan Seneker about 1.5 seconds back. Kevin Bruner just behind him. Things are heating up at Hickory as the race winds down. Michael Whiting trying to make some moves toward the front as Gerald closes in. Richie Joplin and Mark Nelson have been battling for the lead. They're about to have significant lap traffic. And Mark has a run underneath. Oh, they have contact. And that has just brought Seneker even closer. Seeing a lot of great sportsmanship out here tonight between these top two. Mark looks back underneath. Ken St. Jean moves to the high side. Seneker about a half second behind and closing. Mark has a run out at 2. They come out of 4 with 4 laps to go. Richie on the high side, Mark on the bottom, more contact. Richie's around, caution. And Seneker has the lead. Wow. And that just changed this whole race. Taking a look down from the chopper. Mark has a run underneath, slides up, barely taps Richie, gets on the brakes. A little contact on the backstretch. They both get rolling again. Both lose a lot of ground. And Ryan Seneker has come to pit road. Kevin Bruner has the lead. Don Warren in second. Gerald in third. Ryan Seneker coming back out in fourth. Michael Whiting in fifth. Mark Nelson in sixth. Derek Schilling back on the lead lap in seventh. Richie in eighth. Steve, it's the second Mark. Mark with a K. Depending on which Mark you ask, depends on which one is the correct spelling, by the way. They stack back up for the restart. Pace car is in. Bruner in control. Green flag flies. 2 laps to go at Hickory. And it's going to be a fight to the finish here. They are 3 wide. Richie looking underneath as Kevin Bruner clears. Don tries to fight back up top. White flag. One more time around. They're battling back behind. Mark Nelson slips by into third. And Kevin Bruner gets the win at Hickory. Man, what a finish. Don Warren comes back to finish second. Mark Nelson comes home in third. And let's take a look at that last lap incident. Looked like Seneca, and they were 4 wide. Seneca gets the bump from Gerald, gets into Richie, and wow, Schilling really got him. Let's see if we can talk to our top 3, starting with third place, Mark Nelson. Mark, you came home in third. I know your car was fast, but man, we really have to talk about your sportsmanship tonight. That was just flat out amazing. You got into Richie twice, backed off, let him recover. Great sportsmanship and a great drive.
Yeah, thanks, Doug. I don't ever want to pull away from somebody after doing something like that. And I mean, Richie was just giving me as little a track as he could, and I was doing everything I could to not hit him. But you know, every once in a while, I am going to make a mistake, and unfortunately, did a couple times. But no, I was trying to get by him without passing him for sure.
Well, man, you definitely made up for it, and a great comeback there at the end, buddy. Congratulations. Go Euro Truck.
Yeah, that sounds good. It's nice to talk to you again, Doug. It's been a few months.
It has been a while, man. Great job tonight.
Thank you.
And for the first time this season in Victory Lane, Kevin Bruner, man, you were fast all night. You were gaining ground all night, but man, you were in the right place, the right time, the right tires, and the right speed.
Yeah, that was definitely a late Christmas present that was gifted to me there.
Well, you got a little bit of a gift there, but man, you fought your way through. I think you had one of the cleanest nights as well. That car didn't have much damage when it was all said and done compared to some of the others.
Yeah, no, we ran a pretty clean race. I had to get on the brakes once and got run into the back end, but I don't think it affected me in any way. And I made time to go in and get right side tires twice, so I think that helped.
Well, it definitely made a difference, and man, everything just fell into place, and closing that points gap in a big, big way tonight. It's going to be a battle down to the end of this season.
Yeah, that was the big thing. When I saw Richie get tangled up there with Mark, I knew I had to take advantage of it, that's for sure.
Well, you definitely did. You pulled off one heck of a race, and man, congratulations. It is good to see you back in Victory Lane, buddy.
Yeah, it sure feels good. Thanks, Doug.
Kevin Bruner gets it done tonight. Now, folks, as we mentioned, come back here in about 5 or 10 minutes. The Unicorn will be a truckin'. You can tune in. I think you'll see Mark Nelson and Mark Dantuma join her in Europe. for a whole lot of chaos and no telling what else. Thank you guys so much for being here. Hope everybody had as much fun as we did. Have a great night, y'all.